Give me a second, please. We are going to start soon. All right, good evening, Venerable Bhantes and Bhikkhunis. Good evening to our friends who are watching us on Facebook and YouTube Live. I would respectfully welcome all our Venerable Masters to our bi-weekly Sutra discussion. And also I would like to welcome all our friends who are joining us from different countries. So today is going to be another amazing discussion day for us. So before we begin the discussion, let us pay our respect and homage to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I pay my respect and homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened Buddha. Dear friends, I would like to introduce our Venerable monks and nuns to our audience. Today, we have privilege of having Bhante Yogavacha Rahula. He's joining us from Washington, D.C. And we have Venerable Dhammadinna joining us from Virginia, close to Washington, D.C. And we have Venerable Trudeau joining us from Florida. And we have Venerable Shakadita joining us from Montenegro. It's midnight for you. And we have Bhante Uparatana Naik Hamadru joining us from Washington, D.C. Then we have Bhante Jinananda. Normally he joins from Ottawa, Canada. This time he's in Washington, D.C., staying with Bhante Yogavacha Rahula. And little while ago, he also met Bhante Uparatana. And then we have Bhante Kusala joining us from here, from our temple, and in Mississauga, Toronto. Then we have Bhante Santa Sobana joining us from Los Angeles. And we have Bhante Sumedha joining us from Ottawa. This is your first time, Venerable Sumedha. And we have Bhante Nalaka joining us from California this time. You used to be in Arizona, now you're in California. Then we have Bhante Sunita joining us from Ottawa, Canada. Then we have Bhante Anuruddha joining us from Cambridge, Canada. And then of course we have another Bhante Vimala Jyoti, he's invisible. So it is such a great joy to have all of you Venerable Masters for this bi-weekly Sutra discussion. And I have a kind request from our friends who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook. Please share this program in your social media timelines for the great benefit of your friends and colleagues. And this is the gift of Dhamma that we can share for the greater benefit of all sentient beings. And today's topic is going to be on the Buddhist monks and nuns and the mental stress. How the monks and nuns deal with this mental stress and what are the coping techniques they have. I'm pretty sure our lay people are interested in this particular technique topic. And I have this topic today is because some friends asked me, they were interested in knowing how monks and nuns are dealing with on the stress or mental stress or whatever, emotional, psychological stress. After all, we know that although we have put the robes on, we are still human beings. We are not enlightened yet. And when we deal with the society, there is a possibility of experiencing some sort of stress. May not be the great in great deal, but at least I'm pretty sure we experience some sort of stress. But because what we practice, what we do helps us get going with our social and spiritual activities and programs. So now what is the definition of mental stress? And what could be the example of mental stress? And of course, there are some signs of stress of the mental stress pointed out by the psychologist, and and then what causes this mental stress, and how do you treat mental stress, and also personally as monks and nuns, how do you cope with the all kinds of stresses in your life? So this is something that we would like to discuss today openly. And I don't know, maybe I would like to start with Bhante Yogavacha Rahula. So Bhante Rahula, uh, how do you explain this, or how do you see the mental stress? And is there any day or moment that you felt maybe mental stress or any other kinds of stress? And what are or how did you cope with such things? And if you had any, would you like to talk about you?
Well, you know, on one level, mental stress is a reaction to anything unpleasant that you have to encounter. And it could be just a very brief moment of some mental reaction to some unpleasant situation. And then, of course, there's more chronic stress of people, although probably monastics don't have so much of chronic stress like some laypersons have, or
Mm.
in very traumatic situations. But generally, I mean, we all encounter, of course, the unpleasant things happening us to it from time to time, whether it's interactions with other people, lay persons, maybe even other monks, and of course, just general situations, you know, of the world. But you know, practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, I mean,
Uh-huh.
in general, is, you know, the way that is a big help in reducing stress or our accumulating stress. So
Uh-huh.
usually when people talk about stress, it's an accumulation of stress. The ones that really bring like physical problems too, and sort of mental breakdown. This is an accumulation of stress.
Mm.
So with people that meditate, I mean, for myself, I found that daily meditation works on a general level uh, and the mindfulness, of course, being mindful when situations arise, and
Mm.
then being able to check your reactions before you would react in some unpleasant way, or to allow it to fester and grow. So, just in general, the practice of the Noble Eightfold Path, even observing precepts is a part of that way, because you refrain from, certain types of behaviors and interactions with others that could help minimize stressful situations also. So, just in practicing sila and samadhi and panya, all three of those are ways that on a long-term general way help to prevent ourselves from getting overly stressed out. But assuming that people meditating twice a day, like usually monastics do, or a lot of them daily practice. But in my own situation, apart from the daily practice, is, and I've mentioned this before, I think the first program that I attended on with the Venerable Saranapala, I was asked this question also. I think the topic was similar, and I gave an example of myself, that when I was really, one of the prominent times I was stressed out was when somebody hacked my computer very seriously, were hacking it right when I was actually watching the computer. And partly it was because of my own fault, my naivety, and allowing somebody to, say they were going to help me fix the computer when actually they were the ones that were making it worse. So I had to, especially be aware of not losing my, temper at these persons or allowing it to affect me. But so I've been incorporating a specific practice. You asked about specific types of techniques. And what I found to be the most helpful, especially in those times when you feel yourself getting upset or irritated in some situation, is the practice of what I call an Eminem. So an Eminem stands for a minute meditation, or a minute of mindfulness. It's a specific training that I've developed over many years, in which every hour during the day we pause and bring our attention to the present moment. That means either coming back to feel the body in the present moment, coming back to the breathing. And more specifically, I've found one of the really powerful ways is to take a deep, slow breath. So anytime you feel the mind getting agitated, whether you're in the midst of talking to somebody or something, to just bring your attention to the body, because the body is always in the present moment, but specifically to take a deep, slow breath. And that means it takes training to do it, though, but I've learned this in my yoga practice and in developing deep, slow breathing. So whenever you find yourself getting into a situation like that, you just pause and you take a deep, slow breath, like taking 3 to 5 seconds just to slowly breathe in, filling up the lower and middle and upper parts of the lungs, and especially holding the breath in for 3 or 4 or even 5 seconds to allow all the oxygen in the lungs to get into the bloodstream, and then you slowly breathe out. So deep, slow breathing is a known way of helping to immediately reduce stress and the reaction, because when you're taking a deep, slow breath and holding the breath in, you really can't think about anything else, because it takes all of your sort of concentration to do that. And also holding in the breath longer, there's a very pleasant sensations are activated, and it's actually partly to do with dopamine in the brain. Deep, slow breathing is a known way to increase the dopamine production in the brain, which is a kind of piti.
Mm-hmm.
and it's a stress reducer. So I found that taking 2 or 3 deep, slow breaths is a way to really prevent the mind from relaxing it enough that you uh, are able to be in a state of equanimity and carry on your uh, whatever you might have been doing or your interaction with others. And I
Mm.
found that to really be the most helpful thing, especially in this sort of surprised situations that can happen at any time,
Mm-hmm.
during the day where you get a certain phone calls and, some unfortunate situation, bad news or whatever has happened. And
Uh-huh.
before reacting, just pause and take a deep, slow breath and just like, okay, this has happened. Now don't get upset, you know, and it may not be that bad. A lot of people make a mountain out of a molehill. So they hear something or they have some interaction and they they tend to let their mind jump to the future or overreact. So that type of deep slow breathing and staying grounded in the body also, and
Mm.
mindfulness of the body in general is a good practice because when you have a habit of always keeping the sensations of the body sort of in the background of the mind or just closer attention to the body, you can feel the physical reactions arising before they've erupted into some more unpleasant sort of reaction. So this is really the technique that I've found the most important, especially for dealing with situations as they arise on a daily basis. But
Yeah.
apart from that, for reaching a general good state of awareness, the daily meditation practice, and of course, following the other aspects of the Noble Eightfold Path helps to keep the nervous system in a more advantageous condition to deal
Mm-hmm.
with these kind of situations.
Mm. Yes, Bante Rahula, I know even in your first time you talked about that Eminem meditation technique. I think people really loved it, and they are trying, they are practicing it. I even some of my friends and students here in Toronto, they greatly appreciated that 1 minute meditation. Bante, there's a question. I also would like to encourage our audience to ask questions from the monks and nuns. If you have any question regarding today's topic, and please feel free to make a comment or write your question. My assistant David will help me take your question. So, Bante, Rahula, there is a question for you. This is from YouTube, Chandrasekhar P. It says, whenever I am stressed, I feel burning sensation in mind. Is this correct, Ajahn?
A burning sensation in the mind.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know whether it's a mind or heart, maybe.
people will have different, of course, reactions and will have different manifestations of that. Usually it might be a burning sensation in your body
Yeah.
more than the mind, but uh, I haven't experienced burning in the mind except for maybe, get to the point where you're starting to get a little bit angry. But then, of course, you diffuse that by checking yourself. And as I mentioned, I would
Yeah.
take a few deep, slow breaths, and that immediately helps to diffuse the buildup of that kind of reaction.
Yeah, thank you. And dear friends, I also would like to acknowledge the presence of Bante Shanti Vimala, who is joining us from Detroit, USA, Michigan, and also Bante Ananda joining us from Cambridge, Canada, and my teacher Bante Mudita is joining us from Detroit, USA. And also, like, if possible, Venerable Sirs and Venerable Bhikkhunis, if you have any particular experience of mental stress, maybe you think, maybe you could tell a story and how you cope with that. So we have Venerable Nalaka from California raised his hand. I'm pretty sure you have a beautiful story to share with us, Venerable Nalaka.
Sadhu, greetings, venerables. I'm happy to be able to speak well now after this is day number 6 of having COVID-19. It finally caught up with me because I got lax and I didn't wear a mask recently and I didn't have hand sanitizer, and that's probably how I caught it going to the store. So this is a reminder to all of you to keep that mask with you and hand sanitizer at hand.
Great advice.
Only takes a few seconds for the virus to get into your system.
Yeah.
And thank you, Bhante Rahula, for beginning and sharing what you shared, because that's a perfect segue into what I wanted to share. So practically for me, I've been dealing with the physical stress of not being able to breathe optimally due to COVID-19. My sense of taste and smell has finally returned. It's almost 100% normal. You can probably tell from my voice, it's a little raspy, so there's phlegm still in my system. That's dukkha, that's physical dukkha. That's the stress of being a sentient being with this coarse body. That's been part of my contemplation. Yet, as Bhante Rahula mentioned, meditation is key. I've maintained a steady practice for several years now of 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening, and throughout the day, short sessions, 20 minutes, 30 minutes here and there, walking meditation. Even though I couldn't breathe optimally, I was still practicing conscious respiration, anapanasati. It is a very precious gift, a very skillful means, upaya, to have in your toolkit. Along with that, I do practice other forms of conscious respirations. Pranayama is one, what's known as box breathing among people who are in the Navy, among Navy SEALs, and the so-called Wim Hof method. But he didn't create that method of intentional hyperventilation followed by holding your breath for a long period of time. That gives me an instant type of sukha, where you, for example, for those who are not familiar, you basically up to 30 cycles of that, and then breathe out halfway. So a half exhalation and hold your breath, start a timer. And sometimes I can do that for up to 2 minutes. Of course, being a Buddhist monk, I couple that with Vedana Nupassana, mindfulness of sensations, seeing how the body can be very stressful, but then through conscious breathing, all of a sudden, oh, everything is more calm now. The mind is more bright. Oh, what happened to those thoughts? There's a temporary suspension. There's a nirodha. There's a cessation experience right there. Ditta Dhamma Sukha Vihara. Right? Here and now. A peace, a tranquility, verifiable here and now. Even in the midst of having this affliction in the form of this pathogen, this virus, this coronavirus in my system. It hasn't been easy. I haven't been able to sit as long as I would like to sit, but I've been doing more walking meditation. But that's the physical stress I've been dealing with. Mentally, I've been dealing with the stress of what's going on in the world. I don't live in a vacuum. I'm not under a rock. I'm not blind. I do read the news and I know what's going on. And so many of our fellow human beings are suffering in Ukraine and in Russia. Misinformation, propaganda. I see many of you Sri Lankan venerables here, and my heart has been right there in your homeland of Sri Lanka with the Sinhala people. And it's very tragic. To deny that would be absurd, it would be foolish. But to accept the stress and suffering and to realize how it's affecting me is wise and an opportunity to cultivate metta, karuna, and upekkha. After I've done what I can do and realize what's in my capacity to do, and then, only then, being equanimous with the situation. Knowing my limitations, but knowing that I can embrace the situation and be well informed of what's going on so that someone from Sri Lanka can share their suffering with me and know that I am here for them, for our brothers and sisters in Sri Lanka. So as a result of bringing in the information from the world, I have to acknowledge, yes, that is causing condition for stress, but yet I live in the world. I am a citizen in this global world, and I must also be informed. So that's where I am. And I'd actually rather spend more time listening to the elders for the rest of this Zoom session.
Yeah, thank you, Venerable Naraka, for sharing your story, your experience, how you cope with physical. I think I have to greatly appreciate you for encouraging people to mask up. You suffered from this. You did not do it. You thought it was okay. Now there are other venerable monks and nuns. They also go through the same thing. So I'm encouraging people to mask up. Sometimes they might get mad, but it's okay. We need to show our compassion. Yeah. So Venerable Tridao from Florida. What is your story like? Have you experienced any stressful situation? Can you tell us how you dealt with it?
I'm stressed right now.
Oh, it's okay. Relax, relax, relax.
Salutations to all the venerables that is present today, bhikkhus and bhikkhunis and ayahs. Thank you for having me. So I think as the world is watching all of us, and I'm the youngest one in this group, and it appears, right, perception that, oh, look, he's young. He looked like he has no stress. He has no wrinkles. He has no lines, right? Don't let this face fool you. No. And so today, thank you for choosing this topic, because it allows us to vent. It allows everyone in the monastic order to vent, because the rules for us is to try to keep noble silence like the Buddha did. So in modern day terminology and vocabularies of the young people, of the new generations, is that when people try you as in they call you names, they look at you funny, they make fun of you, they make fun of your head. It doesn't matter what they make fun of. And during the Buddha's time, they also tried the Buddha in many ways, shapes, and form. And when we go back and study the teachings of the Buddha, the life of the Buddha, the one and only historical Gautama Buddha, I find so much inspiration by and through his noble silence when they tried him. So at this time in my life, at age 34, I don't know what I got myself into, but I have been engaging in Buddhist psychotherapy over the past 4 years with actually across the lifespan, as young as 14 years old to 80 years old that have reached out. And as some of the venerables here and our audiences who are watching, the art of Buddhist psychotherapy is extremely delicate, difficult. One must be extremely skillful and well-versed, not only the Dhamma, but also Western psychology and up to date with modern research and the modality most effective and efficient to treat human stress of the mind. And so, there's actually tonight at 8 p.m., I'm working a sex trauma abuse case with a sex addiction specialist in California. And so just to get everyone who's watching, they're like, well, what do monks really deal with? How do they really actually help people? And this is one of the modalities that we help people is the art of psychotherapy and merging Western psychology and Eastern philosophy together. So I've ever since I heard on TikTok, and it was an experiment because I just tried it just for fun. I was trying to use technology to spread the teachings. And now it's at 1.2 million followers on TikTok. And so I decided to delay some of my studies and partial of my practice to attend to the masses of crowd, to attend to the masses of suffering amid COVID. So I decided, because all these young people, they reach out, they said, can you help me? Can you help me? This is what I'm going through. My parents are fighting. I don't know what to do. I'm suicidal. I am homicidal. You know, my teachers are horrible. I wish I had a student that says, I wish my teacher had COVID. And so, so I decided to focus my education and experience, my 15 years of clinical experience, to help the masses of the young people. So the impact of that, that I had to absorb, and how I deal with it, is that there were at one point, I think 2 years ago, during so what I call one-on-one sessions with people, and it was at night, and I tried to take the last call, and I just couldn't bear it anymore, and I passed out in the middle of the one-on-one session. And so that was when my body told me, you can't save the world, you can't save them all. You got to take care of yourself now. So, you know, one of the things is that when you're stressed out, you got to help yourself before you can help others. So I've learned so much along the way, in my young years, and, you know, still learning from all of you, all of the most venerables, all from where you guys have been and how you guys have helped people for the past century. And now I'm just stepping into this to get a good clue of the dukkha that everyone experiences, the mental pain and suffering that everyone experiences. And yeah, so the impact that it has on myself, I can only speak for myself. So I do get therapy myself. You know, today's talk is to also inspire everyone around the world to also seek therapy, not from just monks, but from local regional therapists. Usually they have a master's degree and up, and usually they have at least 3 years postgraduate of training. So literally they have anywhere from 7 to 10 or 11 years before they started practicing psychotherapy. And just, you know, there's mental health stigma attached behind all of this. And I hope to inspire by and through my own story is that even a Buddhist monk here, who not only deploys Buddhist psychotherapy, but also trains other younger monks, the art of Buddhist psychotherapy. But I also entered therapy myself, so that there are things that I cannot see. There's two things that we humans do. We are blind to us, and we are blind to the things that we do. So therefore, that's why we have supervising therapists that supervises other therapists. And so, you know, the therapists that I work with, they actually consider me as equal. But I tell them, you know, I got this case, and I was wondering if I can run it by you. Or this is what I'm going through this week. I was wondering if I can run this by you. And they make their interpretation skillfully. The word therapy just simply means information. That's simply put. So as I'm teaching cognitive behavioral therapy right now, when everyone hears the word therapy, they kind of link that to, oh no, I can't go to therapy, that I'm not crazy, so on and so on. It's far from the word crazy. And so it just means that you need to update your software up here so that you are more tolerant, so that you have the ability to endure when life comes at you. And so receiving therapy is one modality that I do. I do exercise a lot. Exercise defeats depression and also improves your mood. And a little bit of martial arts, but it's not what everyone thinks. Martial arts help me increase my strength. You know, and when it comes to meditation, my approach to meditation is eclectic type of modality. What that means is that I incorporate all of them interwoven together. And it is not necessarily like Anapanasati, or the 4 protective meditation functions, or the 10 recollections, and so on. It depends on what kind of stress that you're dealing with at that moment. Our mind is subject to impermanence. It comes and it goes. And it's funny. I mean, one of these days I'll share some of these GoPro videos. Is that, you know, 1 second things can be well, and the next second I'm dealing with someone who is suicidal. And then I get on TikTok, and then I get someone telling me, oh, Jesus loves you. Yeah, you should really go towards Jesus. So, of course, Venerable Sarananpala knows this, is that when we become social media monks, or we expose ourselves towards social media, we can have all sorts of, unkind, or people try to push other religions on us. Well, me being young, maybe the younger monks, they get picked on more than more senior monks. So when someone tries me on that level, right, I see myself practicing the non-self, anatta lakkhana, is that I'm just simply a visitor, like who do I think I am? I'm not someone special or anything like that. Stress is there because we take things personal. We really take it personal. When people say unkind things to me, or pick on me, or they don't understand what the robes mean, or if I'm out in public, someone said to me, "Excuse me, sir, what kind of party are you going to?" I was in an area where there was a theater, and kids was studying theater, so they thought I was part of the group that we were rehearsing. They couldn't put together that the head and the right shoulder exposed. So I said, "Yeah, I'm a Buddhist monk. I can't party. That's one of our precepts. We can't engage in entertainment." So it's an opportunity to educate the public, and it's an opportunity to engage. So anyway, so part of monks, myself dealing with stress, is to see that I am a visitor, and that I should not take things personally, and I deal with things as they come. If something tests my patience or triggers my anger or aversion, I would use walking meditation to cultivate tolerance and endurance, and to sit with the uncomfortable feeling, to sit with the impact. Every time when someone does something to you, you're going to have this really difficult impact. And we humans tend to just react right away, and put up defenses. But if we sit with the silence, we absorb the offense. And if we respond skillfully, we too also don't accumulate negative karma. See, what they do onto you is their karma. What you do to them becomes your karma. And so we monks have to respond very skillfully, because we want to help people. Our noble and good intention is to help others. And therefore, when anything happens or triggers stress within us, we really have to go back to the text, and really to just, take it all in and go back to our practice. Ajahn Chah, for the Thai forest tradition, says, whatever is troubling you, that is your teacher. So at any point in time when someone triggers me, I realize that in this moment, they are my teacher.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. I think it's the change of perception, right? That helps you get relief from whatever stress you're going through. So thank you so much, Venerable Trudeau, for sharing your stories and all the coping techniques. I think it will be of great benefit to us, and as well as to those who are watching us, those who are going through some stressful time. And now we have Bhante Anuruddha from Cambridge, Canada, raised his hand. So what is your story, Venerable Anuruddha? How did you cope with your own whatever stress you went through?
Okay, first of all, all the Venerable Sirs, Venerable Senior Monks and Nuns. I have a few ideas to share with all of you here. Because I have become a monk about 5 years ago at the age of 37. So I have both experiences in layman life and also the monkhood in 5 years. So when I entered into the monkhood, I didn't have that much of stress for me. But when I was in the monkhood, I have seen so many stressful situations that the other monks has faced in this journey to enlightenment. So as a Buddhist monk, all of us are practicing the mindfulness and the Satara Satipatthana or the Satya mindfulness. So always the stress happens. Always we are getting stress when the expectation and the reality are in two different paces. If the reality matches with our expectation, we don't feel any stress. But if the reality is lower than what we expect, we feel the stress. If the reality is more than what we expect, we are delighted, like we feel more happier. So that the reality, always this reality happen in a way according to the nature happens. So we can say it's a cause and effect thing. But this side, our mind, always this mind is created by ourselves. So it is the view that we created by our own mind. So when you are in a stressful situation, as monks also, as a lay people also, we advise people to share your story, share the feelings with someone that you can trust. So that is one of the first thing that as a Buddhist monk also we can take. We can go to our senior monk or our brother monk or brother sister nun or someone that we can trust, and we can share our stressful situation, how we feel, what is the cause of stress according to your feeling. So you can share your story with someone, and that will help you to view the situation in a different angle, in a different way, and it might change your expectation or the view that you created by your mind. So that will help you to deal with that stressful situation, because you have a different view than your view. So you can go to brother monk and discuss or take some advice, because you need that solace to practice the mindfulness. Because when you don't have that calmness in your mind, you can't practice the mindfulness, real mindfulness or the real meditation when you have a busy mind or the clutter mind. So the first thing, when you are in a stressful situation, we need to calm down our mind a little bit to practice the other thing. So as a layperson, there are some things that you can do. You can go somewhere and you can meet someone you want. But I have seen in monkhood, there are some situations the monk or nun can't share their stories with anybody or anyone. So you have to have someone you can trust, the monkhood. So I have seen that in the monkhood, there sometimes it's hard to find those kalyana mitra for some people. So that is something that you can do and start from there. Then you can start the meditation and also mindfulness practices, because all those will help you to calm down yourself and get rid of the stress permanently. So that is one thing I wanted to share.
Yeah, no, thank you, Venerable Anuruddha, for sharing that. Actually, that's so true. Here in Canada, you know that there's an annual campaign run by Bell Canada in the month of January, right? So you can see the billboards like, let's talk in big block letters. Let's talk. Talking. I think this is exactly what we see in the sutras, right? In the Vinaya Pitaka, Sutra Pitaka, where
monks are supposed to be like that.
Yeah, they're going to see the Buddha. They're talking to him about their own struggles. And the Buddha says, okay, now do this, do that. Why don't you try this, right? And this is what we see. And I think even nowadays, even I know even for me, sometimes I would talk about my personal things with my my teacher. And I had a great meditation master in Sri Lanka with me. And plus my best teacher and the doctor was my mother, actually. So when I talk to my mom would say, okay, do this. It's like, when you get sick, okay, drink hot water. It's enough. It helps you a lot. So talking about what you're going through helps a lot. So I would like to acknowledge the presence of a few other venerables. Venerable Joshin is joining us from Singapore. It's in the morning for you. And Bante Pevaratana is joining us from Pittsburgh. He's actually was absent for almost 2 months. He was visiting Sri Lanka, so happy to have you back. And Bante Sankicha from Detroit. I know Bante Sankicha is not feeling that good, but he's here with us. I know your presence gives us a lot of strength too. So thank you. And Bante Jinananda, what is the stressful situation you have gone through and how did you cope with it?
Thank you, Bante, for the opportunity. I'm very near to Bante Rahula's room, so I speak slowly as I'm at the Panyasya Meditation Center today.
Yeah.
If my voice is not too low, I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
I don't
we can
want to
hear
disturb
clearly.
him and make myself stressful. So yes, it's very recent one. And yesterday I was having certain things at the temple, and I know that I have to fly tomorrow morning to Washington, D.C. for my 7-day trip. At the last minute of the day, I came to know that I didn't get the antigen test done to be able to fly. So I felt that how people feel stress if this come to people. And I rushed to nearest drugstore. And when I entered, I thought that this man who is standing there, the pharmacist, should allow me to do that. And I speak softly and kindly and allowing himself to welcome my suggestion. So it worked. Then I felt it's so nice that I believed my karma, because I always think this, that the good things I have been doing helping me a lot, so that it works. So when I got to the car to rush to a drugstore, I thought that I have been helping people throughout the day, throughout the week. That's why I forgot this. So these good things I was involving, it should come and help me to get, because and the whole trip is about respecting my teachers and Bante Rahul, Bante Mudita, Bante Sankich, and also Bante Ji tomorrow. So it's this good thing should help me. It works. Then when I 5 minutes before the flying, I got a message from Washington, D.C., from the place I go first to get the car. Everybody except the car got positive, COVID positive. So fortunately, they didn't use the car for several days, so that I didn't have any problem. And then when I get into the car, I don't have telephone lines to connect with anyone, and because my telephone line is Canadian one, and when you use it in the US, you have to pay a huge money for it. So when I get into the car and I notice that the map doesn't work without internet. So how about if I got the wrong roads to Bante Rahula's place, Bante Uparatana's place, and so on? Then I thought that everything should work because I'm going on purpose for good things. So nothing happened to me in a wrong way. So what I'm bringing here is that you have a stressful situation almost every day, whether you're a monk or nun or any person. But the thing you need to do, how to deal with, how to address those emotions. So I think every monk who talk about the stress and the control of stress split out very nice method. So my way is to believe on your karma, trust on you, and you should have some theoretical as well as empirical support from the Dhamma to use for these situations so that it works. And I thought that if everything goes wrong, it's fine because I'm still alive, and there would be other chances of doing these things. So releasing those pressures and open up your mind and believing your good karma are some of the ways that I use always to overcome negative emotion. So when I have a stressful situation, I do not speak too much. Even Bante Sunita, who lives with me, and also other monks, because that's the way I find the way out of stressful situation, and it works too. So for some people, talking too much and opening up their heart with so many conversation would work. But for me, I find the way out of a stressful situation being silent and looking and thinking the new avenues. That works for me. So even tomorrow, I would have some situation where I do not find rights to Bhavana society as the way I think. But I think that my good karma would work tomorrow and make me to Bhavana monastery on time before the evening. So everything works in that way. That's what I want to share, Bhakti Sarvapal.
Yeah, thank you, Bhante Jinaranda. Of course, some people like to talk, some people don't. Even silence helps to distress yourself. And of course, no need to worry about the transportation. While Bhante Yogavachar Rahula is there in Washington, D.C., why the Paratana Nayakahandru is there in the Washington, D.C., why do we have to worry about the transportation? They are the big shots in. So thank you, Bhante Jinananda, for sharing your story. Now, I would like to invite Bhante Shantasobana from Los Angeles. So what is your stressful situation? How did you cope with such things? Venerable Shantasobana.
Oh, thank you very much, all the venerable monks and nuns, and giving me this opportunity. And actually, this is a very nice topic today. And when it comes to my personal life, that I had a very stressful life. I think that's why got this all the opportunities in my life. It was not easy personally for me. But mainly what I want to share, because there are a lot of listeners. So the background, this knowledge came to me through martial art and yoga and acupuncture and the healing. Yeah, because I used to deeply practice with the acupuncture and with a lot of people. And actually the stress is it's very serious, because it has power to kill us. And there are a lot of people cannot handle it. It's real. We have to accept it. And at the same time, each and every person react in different ways. So it's not the same. And sometimes the very thing is, when the stress arises, sometimes it's really attack to ourselves at it, and it make us blind. And anymore we can't see what it is. As one of the venerable monk told, that sometimes we can't go into the even meditation because if you get into stress, sometimes it completely destroy that inside the pattern. So that what I learn and how I get into that pattern, because especially when I learned the judo, that when somebody choke, it's really shut down whole nerve system, and you kind of like almost paralyzed, and it deeply affect to your brain, because you can't see, you can't hear, you don't know what to do. So that is one of the very real experience that we gain. And other thing is, I used to practice with one of the master, the katana, the sword, that if you make a wrong movement and you get cut, and at the same time, if you make a wrong decision and somebody, maybe innocent person, can get cut. So you have to well disciplined. So in there, the very major technique that we gain when we get into a situation, right away, what I learned through all this practice, it is not permanent. Yeah, before I go blind or before I get shut down myself, that it's very simple message. When you learn to practice, it comes naturally. that whatever go through, come to mind or the body as feelings, it is not permanent. It's going to go away. So in that very moment, we create a gap. Rather than reacting and go with that flow, you're creating a gap to stay away from that flow. So another thing is personally, how I, in day-to-day life, when I have a very stressful situation, and the very first thing I do myself, I get a very cold bath and I clean myself. I don't stuck. And other thing is I do all the cleaning inside the temple myself. And especially more than any other time, I physically engage with the situation and try to keep moving. So the next thing is I exercise. No matter what, every day I exercise. And I work with a lot of young people here. And I work with a lot of these people who try to suicide themselves. And the very first thing I tell them, and it works. So that's why I want to bring it to here, because whoever the listen. So if you try to keep moving something and engaging yourself and giving your best for whatever you do, and it will help you to slowly create a gap. And so another thing is personally for me, that I learned a lot of Sen stories and Jataka stories. And that became the grateful help for me when a situation comes. It gave me an opportunity to understand there are a lot of autobiographies, and there are a lot of people went through hard time, and they came out of it, and they build up a good life. So when I remind myself that, and it gave me a kind of like a strength to move forward through the situation. So how I handle with most of the young people, and I tell, don't listen to that whatever in your mind, and try to learn, especially the read autobiographies. And sometimes if anything doesn't work like that way, sometimes I watch James Bond movies. No, it's really helped. There are a lot of good movies like the great samurai warrior Miyamoto Musashi, the samurai, the last samurai movie. And another thing is the Morgan Freeman, this last night. So, and Fist of Legend. So those are movies kind of like, because it talk about the real life. And when you are getting to trap and how you get out of the situation, because if you can't destroy yourself, you are responsible for your life. So, and that way, what I understood, that stress is a kind of like giving us an opportunity, because otherwise, if the life happened the way we want, it's not going to become a life. So when the stressful situation come, when the turbulence come, I always know, oh, it's kind of like getting an energy drink. I know it's a try to make a kind of like a good way to move. So I always look for the best opportunity to get out of the situation, and that always push me beyond the limits. And so that's why I always, whoever come and in any situation, I tell them, remember, when they go through stressful situation, remember, this is something kind of like a message, try to indicate you can upgrade yourself. So try to get the best out of it. So rather than going backward, then it gave, personally, that's how I deal. So and it gave me opportunity, and then I know that is the way I know, and that's why when somebody asks me, that is what I tell. Okay, do this. Maybe it's work for you.
I think it's so wonderful how you brought it up. Like reading the autobiographies helps you to get the relief from stressful situations. Even today, I think that's the main reason why we have this topic. I know all these great masters in this Zoom platform. You all are doing amazing job. I know you have been helping so many people, so many communities, but going to help people sometimes could cause a lot of stress too. And I know you're dealing well, you're coping with these stressful situations well, and you're still smiling. And that's the main thing. Like if people are curious, you're doing you're doing so great. You're helping a lot of people. You have so much on your plate, but it's still you are smiling. What is the secret behind this smile? So that's why from all this we started with Bhante Yogavachar Rahula, his life, his story, and how he coped, and other venerable. So these are wonderful autobiographies, short one. So now let's go to Bhante Kusala, who raised his hand. And Bhante Kusala from Mississauga, our center, Toronto. So what is the stressful situation you faced and how did you cope with it?
Bhante, I was flying from Boston to Toronto once, and I just suddenly heard this alarm of the flight. And at that time, I have been watching too many plane crash videos. Right? All these Mayday call videos. And I realized there was this girl sitting next to me, and I asked what the alarm is about. She doesn't have any clue about it at all. So I kind of stressed her too by asking that question. And I'm like, I'm a monk. I'm not supposed to feel this much anxiety. And then it dawned on me that it is just the plane indicating the lower altitude. But it took me a minute to realize it and then gather myself and focus on just, just letting it be. Now that it arose in me and it has to live its life and it will vanish and it's not mine. But again, after that incident, I stopped watching all these Mayday call videos.
That's a good thing.
And then it vanished. When you said we'll be talking about monks coping with mental illness, I said, I need the whole 1 hour and a half, because there are too many stories to share. But this is one that I wanted to really share. And I'll come back when Venerable Bhikshuni Jur, she had.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Bhante Kusala, for sharing your story. I know we all go through something, and I know this is a kind reminder to our friends who are watching us. Actually, there are a lot of people watching us this program on Facebook and YouTube, and we already have a few questions. But I will take your questions. Meantime, dear friends, if you have questions, please write them down. We will go through your questions. So, Venerable Jachan from Singapore, good morning to you. And I remember when we were organizing the first Vesak festival here in Toronto, in the city, because both of us were involved. And we were so much concerned, worried. Is it going to be okay? How is it going to be unfolding? Is it going to rain? What if something happens? So we were concerned. We had some sort of a stress, but we managed. It went well. So now, Venerable Jachan, what is your story? What's the stressful situation you faced, and how did you cope with it?
Thank you very much, Bhante. And yeah, we've gone through the first Buddha's birthday, and organizing events is always, in a way, is quite stressful. But it's always good that we always have a backup plan. So this is something that in Pongpangshan we used to organize event, and every time we face with challenge. But I would like to share with my personal stressful challenge in my life, because actually why I am back to Singapore, because in 2019 I got cancer, and it's the last stage of cancer. So at that time, because my own cultivation is that I always contemplate on the Four Noble Truths and the Three Dharma Seal. The Four Noble Truths about our life, our truth of life, and the Three Dharma cell is that we always remember that everything will change. But before I got this this sickness, to me it seems like I understand, and this is something that I can use in my life. But all the challenge unable to compare with the challenge when I was facing when the doctor says that, well, you know what, the cancer cell is very, very aggressive, and then you have to go through a very tough treatment. So at that time, then I start to realize that whether I am applying what I learned from the Buddha in my life or not, and how do I cope with it, because I still have a temple to take care of in Boston. And at that time in that temple, there's a new nuns coming in, just arrived 2 weeks, still unstable. And and like Bante know that in Fo Guang Shan, we organize a lot of events. So in Boston, I try to organize a lot of events, and I just realized that I have to go to surgery, and ends up I have to go to 3 surgery after that. And one of the surgery is that I have a heavy bleeding, very serious bleeding. So when I face with this reality, first thing is that I have to think about how am I supposed to manage the temple first. Since the nuns so new, the temple still have events to go on. Every Sunday we have to organize chanting service. So what am I supposed to arrange for the temple? The second thing is that Fo Guang Shan is a big congregation. I have to report to the headquarters about the situation, and they might ask me to go back to Taiwan. Then what happens to the temple? The third thing is that how am I supposed to arrange my time for the treatment and who take care of me? So all these things come in at the same time. So everything happens in 2019, coming at the same time. And also the Boston temple, we are in the process of maybe rebuild the temple. I have to go through with the city and to ask for the rebuild of the temple. So this is pretty stressful.
Yeah.
But how do I manage to go through it? I realized something is that just do as according to what's supposed to do. When it needs to go for treatment, just go for treatment. And then arrange the time for the temple. If we can't do it, if I'm not here, they can't do it, then we stop the event. The event won't disappear because I didn't join in, or I didn't arrange it, right?
Yeah.
And the members is that we'll ask the members is that, can you help to do this, and arrange it. So what the Buddha taught us become a very big strength to me is that sickness is part of the truth in our life. That's the first 4 suffering. And people will come, people will go. So this is what also the Buddha taught us. And most important is that the impermanence. So when I was dealing with the treatment, especially with the chemo, it was really tough. It's not something that can be describable how I feel from my body, the feeling. But I always tell myself is that it will pass, because time will pass. It will pass. The body, either it get worse or it get better, but it will pass that feeling. So this is something just to share with everyone, because it ends up is that when I teach about the Four Noble Truths, when I teach about the Dharma, I shouldn't say teach, I share with everyone about the Four Noble Truths, the Three Dharma seal. I have the a more personal experience, feeling that I can share with people. And when I'm doing counseling, or when I was doing my treatment, I still need to do counseling to 2 members that got cancer, and I can't tell them that I have cancer as well. So they complain to me about their suffering, and I still have to comfort them that everything will be fine. Yeah. So I was at that time feeling experiencing the same thing too, but everything will pass. And this is what the Buddha taught us. Even stress, we will pass as well.
Yeah, that is, you need to have the self-compassion. You know, to be honest, Venerable Joshan, I had no clue what we were going through. But today I know, and I have great admiration and respect for you. And we were working together and spreading Dhamma and making great awareness of Dhamma in this country for many years. So, and also being in that situation, you helped so a lot of people. I think that was the true blessing for you. That was the great medicine. So thank you for sharing your story with us. And okay, so okay, we have Bhante Pevaratana raised his hand. That's good. After a long time, Bhante Pevaratana from Pittsburgh. And Bhante Pevaratana, what is your stressful situation and how did you deal with it?
So my reverential greetings to all the monks and the nuns, and I was so touched to hear all these personal stories and the techniques that they are using. You know, I feel very blessed to have heard these stories. So when I was listening to these, stories, I was thinking, oh, what kind of, the stressful situation that I talk about is not really stressful. Yeah. But so I think most the stressful moments that I had has to do with either academic works, like when you are reaching a deadline to submit something, or our temple work, when you have so many things to do and then you feel that you don't have enough time to do that. So that is the more stressful situation. And particularly I remember we recently moved to a new location, and then during that time that we had a day to move and arranging everything, there's movements, arranging many things, and so I feel like the time is not enough and the resources that I have to deal with this move is not enough. So the last year during the time of moving our temple is the time that I felt stressed mostly. So then when I reflect on how did I deal with that stress, is that I realized that actually our stress also coming from our expectations, like our expectation that I have to be like that, or maybe we have to finish this at this time. So the expectations that we have placed on ourselves is one cause that creates a stress in us. So the way I handle is that when I realized that I had not enough time and not enough resources to do this move as I planned, on the specific day that I want to do. So I reflect that, okay, in that case, I actually let go of the specific day that I set for myself. I talk to people, I talk to other relevant people and explain the situation. And I kind of let go of that, expectation. And I think same thing also happened to me when I was doing like academic writings and when I kind of submit on time. And that's also expectation that I have placed on myself. Sometimes I may fail, but that's okay. And that's okay. So letting go of the expectations, letting go of the initial plans that we have set for ourselves is one way actually we can release the stress. And those times I mostly like to do some chanting. And I chant wishing strength and wishing may some miracles happen, maybe I receive enough help move through this. So I do a lot of chanting, particularly during the time of stress. And mainly I think letting go of the expectation can help too.
Yeah, that is what they call one of the techniques help me with the stress is lower your expectations. When you have too much on your head, it's burning you. Put it aside. So now let me read some great comments made by our viewers, our friends. This one from Facebook, Nimalika Jaisundar is saying, Bhante Tridao monk, the self-regulation techniques you mentioned can be used in our daily lives. Thank you. And in Facebook, in the YouTube, Yuri Coutinho says, thank you very much for sharing from your experiences, Venerable monks and nuns. These live chats are very interesting and helpful. So I would like to take two questions from one from the YouTube, one from Facebook. I think those two questions are very interesting. Pavitra Ratnasri in YouTube says, to get rid of depression, I started doing meditation every morning. I thank for everything I have, and I think everything I need I will receive. And I thank the universe. Is it aligning with Dhamma? And this is one question. Another question asked by a friend in Facebook is very interesting. He said, India, when depressed, I don't have the push or care to do the right things, such as cleaning, shower, etc. How can I push myself to do these things that will help me, but something in me isn't letting me? I said, that's a great question. Anyone? Let me ask from Bhante Yogavacha Rahula. Bhante Rahula, do you have any tips, insights for that question? The question, how can I push myself to do things that will help me, but something in me isn't letting me? I can't hear you, Bhante, you're mute. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, I will just give the advice that the Buddha had given.
Yeah.
Is to contemplate about impermanence and death. And especially that's an antidote for overcoming laziness and so on. Of course, having depression is a more serious state than just, sort of being lazy. But to know that nothing is going to happen without your own effort, and that, the Buddha said that the effort has to be made today because we don't know if there's going to be a tomorrow. And if we leave this world with the mind still confused, then that's going to be even a worse state. So the sense of urgency, sometimes it can help you to drag yourself out of bed and do what is, the needful.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
Okay.
And,
Okay, thank you. Venerable Trudeau, do you have any insights for that question?
Oh, well, in regards to that question, and also earlier in the beginning, someone asked Venerable Rahula about the burning in the mind, and I would piggyback on that by saying that it is probably neuroinflammation. And however, the medical definition on that is within the definition on the neuropsychological definition. But anytime when someone is trying you or rubbing you the wrong way in life, there's always inflammation of the mind in general, just because nothing good happens when cortisol is being triggered. Cortisol stress hormones is being released, and so therefore we feel this pressure in our mind that could feel like it is burning. So therefore, just to go back to that very beginning, where there is causation, there's also cessation. And so whatever is causing you stress, no matter who it is, even family members, one must cut the cord, or at least temporarily take a break, so that you don't suffer in the mind, especially a burning sensation. That's pretty serious. And in regards to the second question that was here, is that I would, the Buddha emphasizes human effort, human self-discipline, human effort, and the willpower to get what needs to be done. The Buddha said, study what needs to be studied, practice what needs to be practiced. What was the third?
Realize what needs to be realized.
Oh, realize what needs to be realized. I'm stressed right now.
Relax, take a deep breath, take a deep breath.
And so yeah, so and again, the effectiveness of death meditation is, the problem is we think we have time, and especially in the West we get a little too comfortable, and we find all sorts of ways to create excuses for ourselves. Oh, I'm too busy, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't take out the trash, I have work to do, I have to feed I have to pick up my kids. So, just be like the Nike sign, just do it, right? My closing remarks before the end of this is that our viewers are probably asking themselves, well, how do I help the monastic order? How do I help monks and nuns that you see here presently in front of you, as we all share our personal stories to inspire you all and to give insight behind the scenes of what we all go through. And I'd like for everyone to, really reflect on each story that was here today. And one of the ways that you can honor your teacher, as we all know, the Theravada tradition is slowly, downsizing in the most accurate sense to describe the Theravada tradition is that we're dying, pretty much. We're dying in regards to the number of monks and nuns, our age, the fact that we are subject to old age, disease, death, and decay. And so, I hold the Theravada tradition dearly to my heart, just because, it's beautiful. And one of the ways to honor your teacher, any teacher that is here, and any teacher at your local monastery, is when your teacher advises you to practice something, to really take it seriously. And they have very little time with you when they give such recommendations and advice according to the teachings. It's because, they're really busy with things going on at the temple and in events and psychotherapy that they're doing with other people. And when you all practice, especially giving, and translating the love that we have for our teachers is by and through giving and by and through action. Not only you mitigate your own greed, aversion, anger, and ignorance of the Four Noble Truths, but you're doing so much to help the community grow, and that people who could ultimately benefit so much from the direct teachings of the teachers that you see here and elsewhere locally. And so, hold your teachers dearly, respect them to the utmost reverence, and in life, always give more and take less is what the Buddha would want you to do. We monks are the living Dhamma, since the Buddha have passed away. And when we chant, we are orally transmitting the teachings from one to another. And so it is being passed down very sacredly and very profound. And so to keep the lineage of the Theravada and Mahayana and all of the schools of Buddhism going, we also depend on the lay people. And you all have a lot of contributions, and you all can make a difference, each and one of you that is watching, And so I just wanted to give that recommendation, and last note on this is that you all make us happy when you come to the temple. You all make us happy when you put your hands together and you pay respect to the Buddha, to the Sangha.
And I think this is a great year. That this is the very reason why we are having this bi-weekly discussion. We all come together on Zoom platform. And this is such a great sense of unity we create, and it makes people very happy. And especially joining from different countries, different cities. And this is a way of actually releasing whatever stress we all go through. So we are coming to an end, but I would like to hear from Sister Kema in just 3 minutes, whether you had any stressful situation, how you cope with that.
Well, there's lots of stressful situations here in India.
I know that you went through a stressful situation recently.
My most recent stressful situation is to change. You mentioned some of the wonderful things about the 3 characteristics, the 4 noble truths, and everything that I deal with and I teach people, basically using the 3 characteristics, using the 4 noble truths is really important. And you also tapped into a whole lot of when something's happening, the best thing to do is change it and take hold of something to replace it. And effort is one of the words that's problematic for us in translation, but we have to go back very specifically, because one of the most hopeful things in the teachings in the suttas are really looking closely at right effort and right striving, because it has 4 pieces. And one is to see that there is this thing going on. So the first thing is to identify this unwholesome mind state of where you are with stress or tension. The second one is to release that stress and relax, just let a breath out. You know, when you grab onto something, let it go. So I've been telling people, just never mind as you let go and relax. And then the last 2 pieces is bring up something wholesome. This is important, this piece of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 does not help you. It does very quickly, maybe temporarily, but it doesn't hold on and grow in your mind. What changes mind in the case of stress and tension is to recognize the unwholesome thing stress that's happening. And number 2, let go of it. And then number 3, bring up a wholesome in place of it, and then keep that going. And Sister did a really great job of doing this. She did a really great job of doing that with explaining that. She hit the stay in the present time is the wholesome, and keep that going. She hit the anicca, and many people are talking about anicca dukkha anatta, pinpointing it and showing you how to do this. But right effort is to see the unwholesome, let it go, and relax, and then bring up a wholesome. And smiling is the quickest one to change the brain. And the brain can only do 2 things, 1 thing at one time. We'd like to say it was doing 2 things, but 1 thing at a time. And so when you bring that up, bring that smile up, and then you keep going with whatever you're doing in life, whatever you're doing in meditation. This isn't just for meditation. And recently I've started saying, well, right effort and right striving are described the same way. Could it be that right effort, we have to pay attention and learn it and drill the mind on that. And when we're doing the wholesome in place of it and keep going in and smiling into whatever we're doing, but the striving, could it be like faculties and powers change? And they're the same thing. And what the powers we say are automatic, could it be that right effort changes to right striving? And that's automatically happening. I just recently, very quickly, had a young man, which this is about the spread of the Theravada teaching, not the leaving of it, but the spread of it, which I like to talk about a lot. Okay. And in the growth of it, what happened was, did this stuff spread in the first place? And what I see happening with my student on our online retreat about a month and a half back, he was in Stockholm, Sweden, and he did terrific on his retreat and really shifted everything in 10 days and kept going. I didn't know he was keeping going, but then he called and invited me to come and do something in Europe. And I'm probably going to go and do that now for a few weeks, to leave the heat here and just go and do it. But besides that little piece, okay, the thing was, the person he told me to work with in his organization to get this going is in London. And he's a young man, 28 years old. The person who changed was about 40, okay? He just got so excited, he changed. He told his friend what happened and was working. And his clients, he's a coach, a world-class coach, and his clients now all want to do this, what we're going to do. So I'm getting very excited about this. Is really going to be fun. Okay. But the thing about it is that young man is now communicating with the planning for what we're going to do and told me, I am the happiest thing in the world right now. And I said, what? Why? He said, well, because Pierre told me this, and because he explained what we're doing and the practice, and I started doing it. Now, in 1.5 months, this is the shortest I've ever had this happen, he flipped his mind, and his mind is automatically doing what I just described to you, the right effort. He flipped it. In other words, it turned to automatic. So this is where I get excited about what was in the text. precisely, because the Buddha didn't skip anything. And if you look at these things, more precisely, the suttas that just had to do with how to get out of situations of stress, tension, and all that stuff, you find there are a lot of answers. So I hope we'll talk someday about how Theravada can look more closely if they think they're leaving. They look more closely at what the younger monks, 20s and 30s, are talking about. If they are talking about, they're talking to me about it a lot, So now I'm going to go teach 100 monks in the next couple of months. And I've been waiting 5 years to be able to show them this, a section on meditation that can be taught very quickly, that even the truck drivers and illiterate farmer and everybody can start doing, and really have fun and change. And what your key to what you're saying when you find a solution for stress is this wonderful thing of, this is happening. Maybe this person felt like it was happening to them. You just described someone felt it was happening to them, and the Buddha shows you how to walk around with another angle. Maybe everything is not happening to me. This is what changed my whole life. Maybe everything is happening from me, and I just need to understand how. And that's the gratitude practice. It's changed my students' life when they're coming with depression. Well, then sit there and talk about gratitude before you go to bed at night. Set yourself up to sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, start smiling and decide to change your perspective to a more impersonal perspective. Nothing is happening to me. Everything could be happening from me. And if it is, I can do one thing at a time and forget the past for a few minutes, let go of the future for a few minutes, and sit right here and just do this. And then look in my mind, say, wow, when I smile, how do you feel? I've done that with thousands of people in a tent where it's so hot they're about to drop, and just teaching them precepts. But the one thing I'll say, now listen, if you're really heavy right now, what would happen if you smile, let go of all your worries from yesterday or tomorrow, and you just smile? Now, how do you feel when they frown? Oh, I don't want to smile that much. You smile, just for a minute, smile. And they go, and you go, how did that feel? So how does your mind feel? Now, what if you kept doing that and you kept building that instead of worrying about what might happen or what did happen? See, it's this 1, 2, 3, here we go, Baddha Karata Sutta all over again. See, that's a precious sutta. It's a precious setup sutta. So that's all I want to tell you.
So thank you. Thank you, Sister Kema. I know you have so much.
It can grow a lot. Don't tell me it's leaving, because now I have all these people coming and I need some nuns to help me teach nuns. So please don't tell me that it's slowing down.
So now this is otherwise, if you don't finish it right on time, it's going to cause more stress. So thank you, Sister Kema, for sharing your story. And making effort and practicing gratitude helps a lot too. So today we learned so much from all of. I know there are other venerable monks and nuns in this Zoom platform. They have lots to share with us, but today we did not have time for them to ask questions or to share these stories. But in coming weeks, we are going to have more sessions and on this topic, and of course we will get to tell our stories and share our insights with our audience. So today we are very grateful to all the venerable monks and nuns. Thank you so much for joining this bi-weekly sutra discussion. And this, when I look at this screen, seeing the monks and nuns from different countries in different colors coming to one place is such a great relief for us. And it's also such a huge relief for people who are watching this from different countries. So I'm very grateful to all of you. May you all have the Buddha blessings. And I know the Vesak festival month is coming up, the May. And we were supposed to meet bi-weekly in 2 weeks' time. But guess what? One Monday is falling right exactly on full moon day. May 16th. So instead of meeting in 2 weeks' time, I would like to meet with all of you in 3 weeks' time on May 16th to have Vesak celebration, coming together in one place and talking about the life of the Buddha and teachings of the Buddha and some stories. So, and I will send an email to all of you with details, and I'm hoping to meet all of you. But now I would like to respectfully invite Bhante Uparatana to, if possible, Bhante Uparatana to recite the Patimokkha verses for us today.
Thank you, Venerable monks and nuns, and together, and very happy, and we are going to celebrate Vaisakha Day too, and be healthy and wealthy and success and long life. And with that, our conclusion. Sabba papas akaranang Kusalas upasampada Sachita pariyodapanang Etang buddhana sasanang Khanti paraman tapotitikha Nibbanam paramang vadanti buddha Nahi pabjito parupagati Samano hoti parang vihetayanto Anupavado anupagato Pati mokkhecha sangvaro Matanyutaca bhattatming Hantanca sayanasanang Adhicittecha ayogo Etang buddhana sasanang
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhante Uparatana, for beautifully reciting the verses, Patimokkha verses. Your chanting, your voice taking us back to the Buddha's time. Thank you so much. And once again, may all the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha continue to be with all of you for your health and safety, for your good health, for your happiness. May none of you ever experience any form of stress. May Dhamma give us the strength to continue the Dhamma services around the world with health and happiness. And may Devas, celestial beings, continue to protect and guard all of you with the divine blessings. And with these thoughts in mind, I would like to conclude today's Bhagavad Sutta discussion. And I'm hoping to see you all on May 16th to celebrate Vesak on this Zoom platform. Thank you. Good night.
Night.